You've known me for like a million years. See, like one unhealthy obsession that I have is with my hair, man.
Fair enough. Explain me the
Yes.
design choices behind this thing.
Hello and welcome back to NGT, guys. We hope you guys are doing great. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, do check out our previous episodes where we talk about some of the latest tech trends and the products that came out this year. So for this week, one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about, especially with you, Umair, what I've been really interested about, of course, Cyberpunk's hack has been making news all around. Okay, so before we get into the hack regarding Cyberpunk and what really happened this week, let's just briefly cover what Cyberpunk is, because for people like me who don't really do a lot of gaming, we don't really have a lot of context apart from the hype that it created when it first came out. So can you just briefly cover what that is?
So one of the reasons there was hype around this game is because it was in development for 8 years, which
Okay,
is a really huge number. You expect
right.
these games such as GTA 5, GTA 6 to be really, really good when they come
Mm-hmm.
out, especially these open world kind of games. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason for hype was Keanu Reeves was there. Okay. Which
Right, the John Wick style.
Yeah, the John Wick style, his whole hairstyle, the
Yes.
whole beard and stuff. It was the rebel character you were waiting for. Okay, so these kind of games people expect a lot during the launch, and it has been delayed for quite a while.
Right.
So when it launched, the biggest problem that was faced by this game was on previous generation consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I'm hearing, even the PC users, when they were using it for recording their stream content, they were having
Mm-hmm.
problems with it. Okay, because of the rendering and all that. So around that was the problem with the launch itself.
Okay.
But the CD Projekt, which is the parent company, is really trying to improve on the game.
Okay, so it's still ongoing. The problem hasn't been fixed yet.
No, it's still ongoing. Like the updates are still coming. The first update was approximately a month ago.
Okay.
Okay, and it was still buggy in some of the systems.
Mm-hmm.
And there are more updates that will come because Witcher 3 was same. They had
Okay.
problems in the beginning, and throughout the
Which is by
next
the
six,
same studio, right?
yeah,
Witcher 3 was okay.
it's by the same studio, and they had updates throughout months after it was launched,
Mm-hmm.
and they fixed the game eventually, and it looks really beautiful graphically, and it reached their expectations. The only problem is that when tech products come out, they are expected to be buggy. That we
Right.
know for a fact. Look
Mm-hmm.
at this microphone; it is buggy. It
Of
doesn't even
course.
work properly.
Yes.
So you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that was the biggest problem when it came to this whole launch, and since then the company has been under a lot of pressure, and this hack that happened recently has
Yes.
just made things worse.
So what really happened in that hack? Just briefly give us an
So
overview.
what happened in the beginning of the week, a group of hackers entered the system
Mm-hmm.
and got the source code of games such as Cyberpunk 2077's ray tracing version, which would come in PS5 or
Mm-hmm.
Xbox, the next generation consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, The Witcher 3 also in the next generation consoles,
Okay.
and unreleased versions of, like, there are two Witcher games. I'm not sure about the other one, but one of them is called Witcher 3. So this hacker group is like, now that we are at the end of the week and everything has been happened,
Mm-hmm.
um this hacker group is called Hellokitty. Okay,
Right. Yes.
so why is it called Hellokitty? Do you know that?
No, I actually don't.
So Hellokitty is named because of the software they deploy in
Mm-hmm.
the system.
Okay.
This app or software or a program, what it does, it kills all the processes or all the things that are currently running
Mm-hmm.
in your PC. So for example, if you open the task manager by clicking Ctrl Alt and Delete,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see what are the processes running in your Windows PC.
Mm-hmm.
One by one, this virus kills it, and then what it does is it tries to find the files and encrypts it.
Okay.
Right after that, it leaves a message with a notepad saying that, and the message can be found in NGT's .007's Instagram
Instagram
page.
page. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In game story highlights. So
Mm-hmm.
what they do is that they leave a note, leave a link for them to chat with the company, as well as they put it's called ransomware. They ask for money. So this group had hacked a lot of stuff, including the game's source code as well as the HR financial documents, and they threatened them with leaking them to investors, and also mentioned that since you have already buggy launches,
Mm-hmm.
this will just take your reputation more down.
Mm-hmm.
But the CD Projekt's approach was that they announced publicly and they released the notes publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And the hacker group actually gave them only 48 hours.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I don't know how serious this CD Projekt took the whole hacking thing. But after 48 hours, these data sources and the documents were up for auction in one of the in one of the hacking forums.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting price was $1 million, and buy it now price was around $7 million. Okay, and it's quite a big deal because these games are unreleased.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
and
obviously it
and they are
means a lot.
they are worth a lot because it's
Yeah.
quite a big company, and having their HR documents and legal documents and financial documents is just bad. It's really
Mm-hmm.
bad. So after the auction went live, within few days it went down, and they came up with the message that they have already got a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who the buyer is. We don't know the amount they gave, but all we
But
know,
the source code has been sold then.
yeah, the source code has been sold to the buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and the condition was there will be no further distribution of the source code and the documents. Everything has been sold to that buyer, to be honest, to be
For
clear.
reportedly a price of $7 million.
Yeah, that's also an assumption, but no one knows, as they wouldn't reveal that that's a hacking group, really.
So they're still investigating the whole matter then at this point.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, they are investigating, but I don't think they will get further than that because Hello Kitty has attacked previously a hospital once, an
Mm-hmm.
energy company once, which is a Brazilian energy company,
Mm-hmm.
and it affected their customer service for a while. But somehow they have recovered, but we don't know if they paid the ransom or what was the deal there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we will never know because these are some things that will companies will never reveal.
Right. Obviously, they did not want to add to the bad press they're already getting with the
Yeah.
hack and everything that's going on around them. So that makes sense.
So the sad ending to this is that everything is sold. The buyer has it. We don't know who it is. It might be a game studio. It might be a individual. But one of the things I want to clear is that there was a rumor going around that this was done by a disgruntled gamer who did not like launch of the Cyberpunk game. This level of hacking
Mm-hmm.
cannot be done by a single person. It's a very organized group, and they find
Right.
vulnerabilities right when you don't realize it was there. And they're constantly on watch to do that.
Right.
And that's why the price is so high. 7 million
Mm-hmm.
is not a joke.
It's a very sophisticated operation that they pull. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so what I would like you to say is that because we are dealing at the personal computing level on daily
Mm-hmm.
basis and
Right.
phones, what would be the security tips you would like to give to people just to avoid hacking in general too?
I mean, not specific to ransomware, but I guess in general, some of the most basic tips, as you can see anywhere, are starting with your passwords, for example. Especially when you're setting up passwords for your email accounts or anything else, a lot of people have this habit of using very simple password or numbers that they can remember, date of births, phone numbers, anniversaries, and all that. So one simple approach is that even if you want to go for that, please try and mix it. For example, if you want to go for your date of birth and your date of birth is 1980, So add some combinations to it, add a symbol to it, a lower case and uppercase, which for the most part is the biggest suggestion that is given everywhere. But another thing that over the years have changed in terms of passwords now is not only should it have a different combination of characters, but it should also be longer than 12 characters. But because up until 2017, 2018, they were saying that, yeah, just have 8 to 12 digits character password would be enough. But now it's better for you. So instead of using words, you use phrases. For example, I love chocolate. This is a computer. Stuff like that. You use a phrase, and then you use combination of uppercase, lowercase characters. Use some numbers, and then use symbols. All of this put together would make a fairly strong password, which would significantly cut down your vulnerability of getting hacked. Another thing would be this is specific to emails and messaging, is whenever you're getting emails from anybody, be very, very careful and just try to make it a habit. Whenever you get an email from somebody, unless you were expecting that email, always look at the sender address, because 90% of these scamming emails are not done in the most sophisticated way. So by the sender email, you can tell a lot whether or not it's coming from where it's claiming to coming or not. So that would be first thing. Then second, look for simple things like grammatical mistakes. If you're looking at an email, a lot of the times the people who are doing this are not the best in terms of how to frame an email, right? So they would make grammatical mistakes. There would be inconsistencies. They might be using a very formal word in one paragraph and then going completely informal in the other. So
Yep.
small things like that, and that would really help you. But yeah, start with the email address and just go from there.
I think the third thing I would say is that multi-factor authentication should be more
Yes.
common. Yep.
I mean, multi-factor, it unfortunately also really depends on the platform you're using. Majority of the platforms do offer it now, but there are exceptions where some platforms don't offer it. But in terms of setting it up, it's very simple. You can just pick any two. One is obviously password. The second one is you can have your device, where whenever you, for example, let's just take Gmail. So whenever you try to log into Gmail, you will enter your password, and once you go through that step, once you click on sign in, it would then send you a prompt on your phone where you would have to confirm that I am the one who's trying to log in. This is one way. Another approach is that when you try to log in, once you enter your password, you would get a call and they would tell you a barcode or a simple code that you would have to enter into the screen. A third could be getting a text message. So basically using your password along with a combination of something else. Most common ones are using passcodes that you get through a phone call or message, but some other approaches that you would see in a more sophisticated environment would be biometrics.
Yep.
Right? You could be using your fingerprint, or if it's a very sophisticated system, then you would have a password and voice recognition, or a password and
Face
retina
ID.
scan and all that. Face ID, exactly. That's another one.
Yeah. That's the kind of security tips you should really be aware of, especially when
Exactly.
you're dealing with daily stuff, even if your Gmail or even your Facebook or any other apps, they all support this. Okay.
Yes.
And you should be very careful because hacking is something that is not that sophisticated, especially on personal computer level.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you make this mistake, there are chances that you might get hacked.
Exactly.
So talking
Yes.
about Cyberpunk, one of the
Yes.
things was Keanu Reeves and how he looks. He looks
Yes.
amazing. But I'm hearing there's one more thing going on because Unreal Engine is releasing this MetaHuman 3D. A little bit about Unreal Engine is that Unreal Engine is by Epic Games.
Hmm.
One of the most famous and common games in Unreal Engine is Fortnite.
Fortnite. Yes.
Yeah, a battle royale game. I personally have not played much Fortnite, but I do go in and out time and time only because it evolves quickly. So
In terms of
when
graphics or
in
difficulty
terms
level, what do you
of
mean?
in terms of okay, so for example, when next generation console came, especially the PS5,
Hmm. Hmm.
when I installed it, one of the first few games to adopt that adaptive controls
Hmm.
was the Fortnite game. So
Interesting.
the CEO is Tim Sweeney. He's very progressive. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm really a big fan of him, and he's all about innovation. He's all
Hmm.
about since the first Unreal Engine till now, it has been all about how graphically accurate we can get. Okay, now Unreal Engine is used not only in games but in Hollywood movies also
Yes,
because of
yes.
how good it is. So tell us more about the MetaHuman 3D and what is going on in that area.
Well, so they haven't released a great chunk of information on it, but based on what they have told us, so MetaHuman 3D is a new digital human creation tool. So for those of you who do development with Unreal Engine, you can do a lot of sophisticated stuff in terms of designing your characters when you're designing a game using Unreal Engine. So what MetaHuman does is it gives you the ability to design very lifelike characters, not only in terms of how they look, because obviously that has been one of the primary focus over the years, but in terms of their movement. How? So just to give you a simple example, this is one of the things they also shared in their video. So they had two different people with two different skin tones. So how light is reflecting off each of those skin tones, and then there were two people with different ages. So how light was reflecting off wrinkles as opposed to how it was reflecting off a young person's face. That level of detailing was there. And one of the biggest thing that has happened, because focus on graphics has been there for the longest time now, because gaming industry is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But one of the objectives that they want to achieve with MetaHuman 3D is cut down the time that it takes to achieve the level in terms of making that character. Because there was a time when sophistication of that level required months. But because MetaHuman 3D is a cloud-based system, so you do not have to rely on the hardware of your own laptop or your own computer. You can completely rely on the cloud system, and you can use all those resources and do the work that used to be done in months to now down to days or even hours, depending on how complex you want to go.
So we can expect a lot more real life humans. The John Wick character will be exactly looking like Keanu Reeves in that game without any flaws.
Yeah, not only looking like that, interacting like that, and in the direction that they're going, moving like that eventually. Like the simple mannerisms, micro expressions, because as a gamer, you know, micro expressions are a big thing.
Yep.
So on every little tiny detailing in terms of your face, your action, your mannerisms, all of that is only getting better with this thing.
See, it's very exciting because we already have the next generation consoles out,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever picks up in the next 7 years will be part of it. And I'm just thinking that this human characters, if they become as real as
Mm-hmm.
MetaHuman is trying to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
this will be a gaming hall on the next level. I mean,
100%. I think, and one of the smartest things that Unreal Engine has done over the years, and they were very clear about it when they announced MetaHuman 3D, is that they went outside and acquired all the players that have been really killing it in their specific industries. So specifically for MetaHuman 3D, Unreal Engine's up in front announced that the two main players who were involved in this were Trilateral, a startup company
mhm.
based off in Siberia, and there's another startup company called Cubic Motion based off in the UK. So
Okay.
both of these companies specialize in human interaction when it comes to graphics
Mhm.
and face modeling, human face modeling.
Okay.
So MetaHuman Engine, even though it's MetaHuman 3D, even though it's coming by Unreal Engine, it's mainly powered by these specific startups who are now part of Unreal Engine.
Exciting stuff, man. Talking
Very
about this,
exciting.
real characters as
Hmm.
close as it can get. So, what I'm hearing from Microsoft is
Yes.
that we are expecting these characters to be a pure clone of the real person in the game
Hmm.
or in a Hollywood movie for that matter.
Hmm. You're talking
Right.
about the patent that was granted a few days ago?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm comparing it to the like in game also, but in real life when we take out these characters,
Hmm.
even the like for example that Black Mirror episode where the lady resurrects her husband or boyfriend, I don't know, whatever.
Boyfriend. It was the boyfriend. Yeah.
Yep. Um,
I think it was
resurrects
called Be
her.
Right Back. It came out in 2013. Be Right Back.
Okay, that episode where the
Hmm.
boyfriend comes back to life.
Hmm.
Okay, and it is designed in a way that all the data that they have of that person will be implemented in that clone.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, it will act and behave that way. And now
just
we are
like that. Yeah.
hearing, yeah, and now we are hearing that Microsoft patent is trying to achieve that on a chatbot level, where you can chat with a
Hmm.
person, or sorry, with a bot that will represent the person that was dead or not in your
Right.
life anymore,
Right.
based on social media posts and basically all the data they have of you.
Hmm.
Now, as a tech person, first of all, as someone who does that for a living,
Hmm.
data analyzation, this is exciting as well as creepy.
It is, and it's funny you mentioned that because before I give my point of view on that, you're someone who takes cloning very seriously. Digital footprints and cloning are something that are very close to your heart, and you
Yeah.
pay a lot of attention to it. So, what was your reaction to it when you first found out about
Yeah,
it?
see,
This
that's
I'm
what I
talking about
was, yeah.
specifically the patent that Microsoft just got granted.
Exactly. So when I hear about this, and I think that it's exciting, obviously, the way
Hmm.
that data can work at that level,
Hmm.
but creepy at the same time, because I believe that if you do that, it won't help you in the long term if you're grieving about that specific person, especially if it's a
Hmm.
dead person. Okay, it will not be helpful in that term. It will give you, I think, when I hear about this, it's also, for example, will be helpful in counseling only rather than buying it on a personal level.
For grieving processes, yeah, just to get over that
Yeah,
emotional on an emotional level, basically.
it
Yes.
can be an addiction. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
If you buy it on a personal level.
You're absolutely right. It's funny you mentioned that because uh, there was another startup a couple of years ago, back in 2015, that came up with something similar. Not exactly the same, but something similar. So it's called Replika. So if
Okay.
you go to replika.ai, what they did was they came out with a chatting service or a chat bot, right? Where what you can do is you would chat with that bot, and over the time, what it would do is it would create a replica of yourself. So over the course of time, what you would do is as you continue chatting with that chat box, you would start discovering different aspects of your own personality that you didn't know existed.
See, that's the
So
creepy part.
exactly. So that startup has a sort of a sad story as point of its inception,
Hmm.
because the one of the founder lost her best friend, and
Okay.
she was really missing him. She had no way to connect with him. So and she was a developer. So she started to design this chat box, and she basically fed it all the data that she had in terms of texting with her best friend.
Hmm.
And based on that, this personality of her best friend came out in this AI form.
Okay.
So when she interacted with it, she really liked it. So she decided to release it online. And then people started creating their own replicas to it. So now people were talking to their digital self, and as you rightly pointed, a lot of people just couldn't stop talking to their digital selves. A lot of them reported that even though they've stopped talking for one reason or the other, they missed that part of themselves or their chat box.
Exactly.
So it was a very very interesting yet very scary thing that was going on. It's hard to draw the line where exactly would you decide between emotional support and addiction, as you rightly pointed. And I think it again comes back to the similar stuff that we have talked about in previous videos. In with technologies like Neuralink, it would really come down to regulations, how you regulate it. Obviously, regulating something like this is a lot more difficult because this is a lot more personal,
Yeah.
right? But it would be really interesting to see when stuff like this, because Replica is an exception for now. But over the years, when since Microsoft just got granted this patent, when they come out with it or any major player comes out with it, it would be really interesting to see what kind of regulations come into play for that.
Okay, now one of the things that I'm interested in this Microsoft pattern is that it says that it would be taking a social media text and post and rely on that to create that character of you.
Mhm.
This character would be able to think also on that level using the artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
Okay,
deep learning.
deep learning. So
Mhm.
I'm just thinking that how much data Microsoft has in that term. So if people are on different platforms such as Google, Facebook,
Mhm.
Apple,
Mhm.
how will it access that? And then combine that to create a person if you're using a multiple platform as in your personal life.
I think, yeah, that's a very good question. How much data Microsoft does really have, especially because still the biggest number of like one of the most common operating system in the world is still Windows, right? So they still collect a very big chunk of our behaviors and use interaction style and everything. So that's one thing. But at the same time, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft is whenever they come out with chatbots, if they do, I would not be surprised if they're open to collaborating with other platforms like Facebook,
Yeah.
like others, to give this for, especially for people who are interested in this. I don't think they would have, if you're really interested in developing a replica of yourself, I don't think you would have an issue when it comes to sharing your data across multiple platforms. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be the challenging part of it. So, for example, even Windows is recording everything. Uh, the amount of data Apple has, or the
Mm-hmm.
amount of data Facebook has, especially Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and all that, that's the biggest data company, I think,
Exactly.
personally. If they come up with a chatbot, it would be
Mhm.
more accurate compared to Microsoft one if they do not collaborate.
Even in terms of, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But it also depends. I mean, Facebook's reputation has got a huge hit over the years. So
Yeah,
it would also depend in terms of adaptability when they come out with a platform like that. How adaptable would it be, like us? So not how how acceptable would it be in terms of users? Because right now, one of the biggest things that's keeping Facebook going is Instagram. Out of all the different social medias that they have, so it'll be interesting to see if they come out with it. How would that go?
Microsoft also is investing in the EV cars.
They are.
One of the few companies they are investing is the GM company.
Mhm.
Okay,
Which
and
recently announced that they're coming out with a flying car.
yeah,
Yes,
so it's quite
that's
exciting.
just funny.
It's quite exciting because GM has projects of their own, such as flying
Hmm.
cars, especially which was
Right.
announced in CES 2021.
Hmm.
And then the whole approach to the EV cars has been so
Hmm.
exciting, and the cloud here plays a big role,
Hmm.
and obviously the 5G technology plays a big role in
Hmm.
this whole scenario.
Hmm.
And one of the EV cars that's nowadays accepting bitcoins, Tesla.
Yes, that was actually it was quite a news this week, which really helped Tesla Bitcoin owners because it took a huge jump. It took a huge jump.
So anyone investing in Bitcoin back in the day, I would say approximately 5 to 6 years also
Yeah,
back in those
I
years.
mean, 3 years ago it was at 11,000 and people, or 18,000 when the Winklevoss twins made a lot of money. People were losing their mind. So from 18,000 to I think it's standing at 43,800 something. It's quite a jump. It's an insane
So
jump.
let's discuss what is Bitcoin first of all.
Yes.
Okay, so Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, which is a
Hmm.
new form of currency that is not like your regular US dollars or Australian dollars, Canadian dollars,
Hmm.
whatever. Um, it's a digital currency. It's only based on computers.
Hmm.
Okay, and for like you need a real wallet in your life, it has a digital
Hmm.
wallet.
Hmm.
Okay, and to withdraw or put money in, you need passwords like you might use at an ATM. Okay, or to log in your banking account. The only biggest challenge here is that when you forget that password for the digital wallet, it's very difficult to recover. And
Yep.
that is what happened few months ago when the news came out. A lot of people lost Bitcoin money. In around $140 million were lost by only one person.
Just because they forgot their password.
Exactly. So please, when you set the password for Bitcoin wallet, do write it down somewhere or do not forget. And one more thing, that when the password are issued, they actually come with a phrase or
Hmm.
some code, yeah, some kind of phrase that you will have to remember in order to recover that password,
Right.
um, even if you forget. See, personally, I've dealt with Bitcoin, okay,
Hmm.
when it was at the value of $400.
So you've
uh,
owned Bitcoins in the past?
yeah, I have owned
Okay.
Bitcoins in the past, and I withdrew it back. Okay, I didn't
Do
need
you
it.
feel like kicking yourself doing for doing that now?
Not really, because for me, in technology, things come up all the time.
Right.
Okay. And I would go for anything that
Mm-hmm.
comes up.
Okay.
Okay. So my investment in Bitcoin was only $50.
But how many, like, when was this though? Because depending when you bought
uh,
it, you might have bought one or like 4 or 5 Bitcoins.
no, part of it. I mean, like one was $450 when I bought it.
Okay. Okay. So this was, say, 2015 or 16.
Yeah, around that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, around that
Okay.
time. And it grew. When it
Mm-hmm.
grew, I just took it out. I was a student. I needed money. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
And
Only if you
not
would have stayed Umair, you would have been a millionaire by now.
exactly. But I can't dwell on things that would happen, obviously.
Right.
I mean, today, if we invest something in stocks,
Mm-hmm.
okay, tomorrow as the company grows, we get money back.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever happened with GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those people who ever lost there regretted, those who ever gained used their
Mm-hmm.
money to pay student loans. Okay. At that point, I needed it. Now, obviously, that would be a lot in value,
Mm-hmm.
but then it wasn't needed at the time. It was needed when
Fair
it
enough.
was needed, right?
Right.
So
All right. So
now,
back to Tesla investing $1.4 billion in Bitcoin.
yeah, because this is interesting in two ways. One thing is that when Elon's interview happened last week, he
Mm-hmm.
stated
On
that
Clubhouse, right?
on Clubhouse exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and he stated that I'm late to the party of Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
which means like it has already gone up the value, which is what I also feel on a personal level that
Mm-hmm.
at this point it would be stupid to invest. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because it's already reached its peak, 30,000, 40,000. Unless you are earning that much and you can
Mm-hmm.
invest in one or two Bitcoins properly,
Mm-hmm.
which would grow in value since it's becoming more accepted around the world. At a mid-level income, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good idea to invest. But that's me personally.
Right now. Right now.
Right now.
No, to some extent, I agree with you, but at the same time, like with Bitcoin, what we have seen over the years is whenever it peaks, like for example, back in late 2017 or early 2018, we went through a similar scenario where it peaked at 18,000 and this started coming back, I think, and it was around 11,000 for
Hmm.
some time. So we can see a decline coming again. But one thing that on a personal level again, that I really like about Bitcoin, even though it's very volatile, it shoots up and down and like crazy, but it's not as risky as stock market.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you have your money there, yeah, for in a couple of days you can lose 15, 20,000, but again, there's a very good chance of it going up. Whereas in stocks, if a company goes bankrupt and their stock goes null, you're done for.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this would be interesting because Tesla investing, okay, shoots up the price. So even if other companies come and
Mm-hmm.
invest properly in this
Mm-hmm.
cryptocurrency,
Mm-hmm.
it would shoot up.
Absolutely.
But
And
still,
another,
but still, I believe it's a gamble.
you
And
still
that's me
believe Tesla
personally.
doing this is a gamble?
No, no, no. But if you are investing on a mid-income level,
On a mid-income level, okay.
yeah. So if you're investing in mid-income level, thinking that you will make money quickly, it's not a quick making scheme. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Another interesting thing that Tesla announced this along with investing $1.4 billion in Bitcoin is that they in the future they'll start taking payments in Bitcoin, which mean
Exactly.
without their own investments in Bitcoin, they would be increasing their overall value and worth in Bitcoins,
So anyone
which
who invested in Bitcoin can actually buy a Tesla within
basically
next year.
and Tesla, without making any effort whatsoever, they would own a bigger chunk of the Bitcoin.
Yeah, and Mastercard is also adopting Bitcoin. Mastercard is really big company.
One of the major credit card companies in the world.
Yeah, I mean Mastercard and Visa, obviously, hear them both together,
Right.
and them adopting the cryptocurrency,
Hmm.
it's a big deal. PayPal is already adopting too. So
Hmm.
these financial companies adopting means it will become a norm. The whole
Right.
Bitcoin owning and buying stuff in Bitcoin.
No, the overall, yeah, you're absolutely right. The overall wave of investment in digital currency has been picking up over the years slowly. But I think this Tesla one, because Tesla is the first mainstream big company, a mainstream center player that has openly said that, okay, we're interested in it. And the fact that they've invested over $1 billion shows that they have faith in this.
Mhm.
So this would really help in credibility of Bitcoin. And as you said, now that MasterCard and others are interested in this too, it would bring a lot more credibility and a lot more investment into it. Which is why I still think if you can afford one, personally, I would say buy one
Yeah,
Bitcoin.
yeah,
You never know
obviously.
when it can go up.
If you can spend 30,000, buy at least one Bitcoin
Right. But again,
or
that's
45,
just
yeah.
our
Whatever
opinion.
the value is at that point of time in your life. Hmm.
Another interesting thing that happened this week,
Mhm.
Tesla might have a future competitor coming up soon
Yeah.
because Toyota announced that they will be coming out with their first EV this year. It is
Yeah.
very interesting because a lot of people are saying they're late to the party because a lot of their competitors, which are like mid-range cars, like Nissan or GM or all these, have already announced their EVs, and they have been announcing for a couple of years now.
And one more thing, Tesla, oh sorry, Toyota has always been about hybrids.
Exactly,
Okay. It has never entered EV market.
exactly. So the fact that they're coming up with it now is very interesting, and what I'm really curious about, because Toyota is one of the biggest players
Hmm.
when it comes to they're one of the biggest market shareholders in terms of car, because they make affordable car for everyday people. Right. So with EV being kind of pricey right now, it'll be interesting to see when Toyota comes out with theirs, what kind of pricing model would they go with? And what kind of impact would that give to the Tesla market? Even though they're completely different markets, but how much of Toyota would eat out the Tesla market? It'll be interesting to see when that happens.
There's a common phrase about Toyota Camry, especially Camry, that it's one of the favorite immigrants' car.
It is. I mean, and that not only applies to North America, because you and I grew up in Middle East, right?
Mhm.
Camry is a huge thing there, and Camry is it's an asset. It's not just a car, because second-hand Camry you can get a really really good price. Not only for second, even for third-hand Camrys, you can get really decent prices.
Exactly like an iPhone. You own that, it
Exactly.
barely loses value throughout the year.
Right. It's an asset, which is really cool for a car. Anyway, so Starlink is coming in Australia.
Starlink
It
is not only coming in Australia, it's coming in Canada, it's coming in UK. It's
Yes.
basically releasing in major first world countries, I would say.
Yeah, they're ready for pre-orders, right?
Yep. So interesting thing about pre-orders is that you cannot get that service
Okay.
till at least mid-June, sorry, mid of this year
Mm-hmm.
and late 2021, or probably till next year. No one knows. It's on first come first serve basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the biggest problems it will solve is that the rural areas in your country or my country
Mm-hmm.
will get proper internet speeds and
Mm-hmm.
with a good latency rate around 20 to 40 milliseconds. The speeds are obviously around 50 to 150 megabytes,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which is a really good download speed and to play games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what do you think? Did I get one? Did I get the pre-order or not?
I mean, knowing you, I think you got the pre-order already.
I will reveal that when it comes.
So you are getting it basically.
Who knows? I mean, like in my location says it is available from mid June to
2021.
2021 to
Okay.
late July. So if it comes, it will be on this podcast, isn't it?
So
And we will
basically,
review it.
it's coming. Umair has gotten it because it's not possible that somebody comes out with a prototype and he doesn't get it. So he has gotten it, and I'm
See,
telling you, in June, he's going to reveal that he has a Starlink connection.
see, one of the things that I'm concerned is because I cannot say that I will have it, is that because they have this statement saying that the fees is fully refundable
Mhm.
if the location is not eligible for that
Right.
service. Okay. And that's why I cannot say I will receive it.
Well, I'm excited for it. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see whenever you get it.
we will review it.
That's something definitely to look forward to.
Exactly. And see, when you pre-order, let's just to give you some details on it. When you pre-order, the
Mm-hmm.
starting price in your country would be 130 Canadian dollars.
130 Canadian dollars, yeah.
Yeah, so it's here around 139, would be 140
Mm-hmm.
Australian dollars. And I probably would not keep it that long,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Only because our internet on a cable level, that which is called NBN, okay, the
Mm-hmm.
National Broadband Network, is
Mm-hmm.
pretty good and it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the best one you can get out of like at $100 price. So paying an extra $40 for a service wouldn't be that great. But I'm really interested to try it out. Even if I have to
Definitely.
subscribe for a month, I'm happy.
It's I mean, given the way it's being done, it's definitely a technology worth trying. 100%.
Exactly. So I'm very excited about it.
Of course you are.
Although the pre-orders are at 130 or $140, you should know that when the service actually is eligible,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay for the dish that will come with it,
Mm-hmm.
and you should have no obstacles around that when you're pointing at the sky. That is very important.
Sorry,
Okay,
what do you mean by that?
so it has to be an open space in your house if you have to buy one.
So if you're living in an apartment building, you
Have to
can
go on
only
a
get it
roof.
if your building allows you to have a dish at the top. Only then can you have it then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You need a clear sky, no obstacles around. One of the things that Starlink does is that it allows you to download app and look for that obstacles using
Mm-hmm.
AR. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're interested, you might download the app and check out if you see any obstacles around. And that's why I would suggest that anyone who does not have clear access to the sky, it wouldn't make sense to get it. And that's one of the biggest reasons it would be great in like places like rural areas or farms and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of places where actually there's only one house, but it's like open all around, so it's pointing towards the
Suburban
sky.
areas, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is quite important information that you should know before even
Mm-hmm.
going for this service.
That's a very good point. Well, that's pretty much it for this week, guys. We really hope you guys liked the video. If you did, do let us know in the comment section and press the like button. And if you haven't already, do subscribe. And as always, we leave links to all of the articles and different trends that we talk about. So if any of you are more interested in learning any of those things, do check out those links. And if you want us to talk about a specific trend or technology, do let us know at ngt.007 on Instagram or in the comment section. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Goodbye.
Well,
See, I'm happy
I
with
think
how I look.
yeah, that I
Yeah.
was gonna say your face, the way your face has come out is quite self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Like you're laughing most of the time, and you have that exact expression, and your eyes are pretty much closed, and like all you can see is a line. That is defined very well. My photo, on the other hand, I think the designer, for some reason, saw this a very different kind of beard style than I actually have.
It reminds me of Abraham Lincoln.
Which is so random. You keep saying that, like out of everybody you can think of, like
That's the only one that I know
Abraham
with such a
Lincoln.
huge beard.
It's not even that big. See, what I'm happy about in my are two things. In my facial impression,
Mhm.
first is obviously the hair, as we just established that it's very important. And second is the headphone, because I think this very well shows my old dad style approach to technology.
Yeah,
So
since
yeah,
you're
I'm
still
very comfortable in
wearing
my
the
wired headphones. Yeah,
yeah,
there we
since you're
go.
still since you're still using wired headphones, I was just gonna ask, should we name this previous Gen Tech?
I mean, that's why we have you on the other side, where you can't even see anything. So it clearly shows the difference, the stark difference between the two. That
I
is what
think
we keep
yeah.
talking about on both sides.
Okay, what about the mic? I was more interested in this fancy little thing.
I mean, see, that's just you, right? That's tacky in general. I wanted to keep something which delivers the message, but yet is simple enough, or as they say, minimalistic enough.
Mhm.
So this mic did the job perfectly. I would still have it a bit differently than the way it is, but yeah, if
I'm happy with the name though. The next gen talk is literally what we are talking about, the future and the present. That's
and
what we
it lines up
define
really
as.
well.
Yeah,
It
it's the
lines up really well with our main brand, which is next gen tech.
yeah, and
So it worked out
NGT
really
for
well.
short.
As I'm saying, yeah, it bunch of things came together really well for this logo.
Hmm.
The best thing for me, honestly, out of everything is the color. I love this color though. Like this is the shade of blue that you can do so much with. Like as a designer, there are a million things you can do
Yeah.
with this. Whereas the other shade, it's let's not go there.
Well,
We're in
eventually we'll
camera,
go 3D, isn't it?
of course. No, we're not going 3D. Unless you're using a decent software, I'm not using Microsoft Word's 3D style of animation. You remember?
That's
I think
fair. Yeah. Yeah,
it
go on.
was I think 2004 or 5 Microsoft Word came out with this 3D animation where you whatever word you write, it would make it 3D by tilting it on its
Oh yeah,
angle
that
and
was so
just
bad.
kind of. But back then it was such a cool thing.
Yeah.
So
Everything new is cool.